Hello, hi, and welcome to this episode of the Mandy Meyer podcast. As per usual, this is the podcast where we chat all about health, fitness, fat loss, you achieving your health, fitness, fat loss goals, and just chipping away at it every single day to make a little bit of progress every single day, to get that consistency going, to get that power of momentum going so that you can achieve all your health, fitness, and fat loss goals. Yo, guys, I get so triggered, and I know I shouldn't, but it really boils my blood. So when someone comments on my social media posts and they say, I love your videos, or I love your sense of humor, and then I just know it's coming and there's a but. It's like they're buttering me up and they're like, I love your humor, I love your videos, but I don't like your swearing. You need to swear less. It's horrible. It's disgusting. Please swear less. And then it triggers me, hey? And it triggers me and it actually pisses me off to the point where, and don't worry, there is a message behind what I'm saying or what I'm chatting about in this episode. Like it pisses me off, to the point where now when someone asks me or someone says to me, don't swear that much, or someone says to me, you shouldn't be swearing that much, or if someone says to me, your swearing is offending me, please stop swearing so much, then it just, oh, guys, you know what, this is horrible. It's not very nice from my side, but it look at me laughing now. It adds fuel to my fire. Okay. And then I like push it up a notch. And it's not like I'm trying to do it. It's just because I get quite angry because I'm triggered. And then all of a sudden that anger just sparks something inside of me. And then when I make the next video, I swear even more, right? And again, it's not that I'm doing it on purpose. It's just when someone tells me I can't do something, or if someone tells me I must stop doing something, especially if it's someone that is an outsider that knows nothing about me. Or if I read that first sentence where they're buttering me up and then I'm like, could you not just have left it at that first sentence, right? Or could you just not click the unfollow button instead of making your problems my problems? And you know what frustrates me or triggers me even more is where they're like, we love following you because you're so real and authentic, unlike the other influencers, content creators out there. What the fuck do you think makes me real and authentic? Is I'm literally being myself. But now you're asking me to stop swearing, so you're asking me to stop being myself. Believe it or not, this is how I speak when I'm around my family, when I'm around my loved ones, except they don't piss me off. Right? So there's not that much anger and there's not that much, like my mom says to me, you swear if you want to swear. I know the daughter that I've raised. I know the amazing person that you are. And when she says that, I hardly swear in front of her because now she hasn't fueled my fire. She hasn't told me to stop doing something, right? And it's the same with my granny. My granny watches all my social media videos and she laughs at all of them. And not once has she ever said to me, Mandy, stop doing that. And when I'm around her, yes, I drop the fuck word every now and again, but it's not half as bad as what it is on social media. And I was checking this out the other day. Immediately on one of my posts, I saw two ladies asking me to swear less. And I get it. Swearing is not for everyone. I totally understand that. But again, there's so many other influencers or so many other content creators or so many other health and fitness accounts out there that you could go follow. For me, social media, any of you that are regular listeners to this podcast will know that social media for me is not a popularity contest, because at the end of the day, when people try and get a huge amount of followers, they're doing that because they want to get a huge amount of brand deals. I don't give a flying fuck about brand deals. I've got my own business and I'm working on growing my own business and my own sort of whatever else goes with that, right? So I'm not overly fazed if I lose some followers because I am swearing. But again, we get back to the point, right? And this is what I'm getting at. The moment someone tells me, don't do that, or stop doing that, or I don't like that you are doing that, that's the moment it fuels my fire. And then I'm like, I am going to do it even more now, right? Without even knowing it. It's crazy. And I think it's just that little bit of anger and resentment inside of me, knowing that I put in so much bloody hard work in my social media posts, in all my posts, and it's free of charge. So people have the choice as to whether they want to consume it. They make the choice to consume it, and then they still want to come and fucking complain about it as well. It's like a vegan walking down, sorry to bring the vegans into this, but it's like a vegan walking down the street and seeing a butchery and saying to the butcher, hey, I don't like this because I don't eat meat, so can you please close your butchery down, or, you know, just rather start selling vegan-based foods or plant-based foods in here instead of your meat. That's exactly the same. So again, I literally cannot wrap my head around it. You consuming free content, but then you still want to complain about it. And I'm like, in what world are we living in? It's like me coming into your job, not you necessarily, but someone that complains about my content, free content, coming into your job. And I wasn't even invited into your job. I just walked past the area where you work. I don't even know you from a bar of soap. I come in and I look at you and I say, no, you know, you're typing too hard on that keyboard. I don't like that. You should just change the way you're typing on your keyboard. Oh, and by the way, I think you're doing a good job, but you're also doing a shitty job, you know, so just don't type that loudly. You're going to be like, who is this woman and why is she telling me that? Like, my boss has never ever told me that. You see where I'm going with this, right? Now, the actual point of this. I had to give you that 6-minute introduction to get to the actual point of this episode. The more someone tells me not to do something, the more I am going to do it. And that's the same with you and certain food choices, or anyone with certain food choices. The more you tell yourself you are not allowed to have certain foods because they labeled as bad for fat loss, which again, we need to break those labels around foods. Immediately now, what might happen is you might start thinking more and more and more about that specific food, right? Maybe you'll even start resenting the process. Maybe you'll even build up a little anger towards the process. Because why? Because you're not having any of your favorite fun foods. Immediately, because number one, it's constantly on your mind. Number two, you've built up a little bit of anger, a little bit of resentment. You're like, why the hell am I doing this anyway? And that's often where the pawpaw hits the fan, right? So again, as I always say, there really has to be a good level of balance and a good level of moderation. You're going to have to look at, say, incorporating 80% nutrient-dense foods, whole foods, foods that are, like I said, rich in nutrients. And then about 20%, you know, fun foods. Instead of going totally balls to the wall and excluding everything that is of a fun food nature, because like I said, that can just spiral totally out of control and lead to you doing it even more than what you would have been doing it if you included it with moderation. So again, it goes back to my swearing. Sometimes I swear in moderation because I'm not angry and no one's pissed me off and I haven't been triggered. Even in those cases, there's often times where I'll make a video and I'm like, wow, I didn't even swear in that video. I'm like, cool, that's because no one's told me not to do it. The moment someone tells me not to do it, I'm like, hold my beer, let me show you, okay? So again, that's exactly the same with you and your food choices. And, you know, you're going to have to, and this is the difficult part, is because oftentimes the easiest thing to do is to cut out absolutely everything that is highly palatable and everything that is a fun food. Because oftentimes we might lose a little bit of control if we do incorporate a fun food. But that's where you need to work on that mindset of, or changing that mindset, knowing that you can incorporate a piece of chocolate and you don't need to feel guilty about it. Like, I saw a protein brand, a whey protein brand's ad on my Facebook account, and the one comment, you know, sometimes the comments come up, and the last comment, or the comment that I could see on this, I mean, I didn't even click on the ad, but I could just see the comment, and the woman commented and she's like, thank you for making this amazing whey protein. Now I can have a snack without feeling guilty about having it. And I'm like, we should never feel guilty about having anything, right? And again, that's my point I want to make. Someone like that most likely has cut out a lot of foods that they like having or liked having because there was that level of, labeling it as bad foods and bad for fat loss. And then if they did have it, what might happen is you might feel guilty. You might then spiral out of control. So again, it's about changing that mindset and saying, you can have one or two of your favorite fun foods in moderation as part of your calorie controlled plan, balanced plan, right? And the moment you start working on that mindset and you start adding some foods that you enjoy having and you continue seeing progress taking place in the background, you're like, wow, all of this can work. All of this is working. And, a balanced way forward or a balanced approach moving forward, more often than not, not even more often than not, I am shit sure about this, is the most sustainable way forward. And when I mean sustainable, I mean, what can you adhere to long term? What can you adhere to, I want to say, for the rest of your life? Because remember, your fat loss phase is just the first phase. After that, you go into maintenance. You still need to execute those healthy habits. You still need to execute that balanced meal plan. And that's why I say what you're working on now is the rest of your life. Therefore, it needs to be sustainable. Thank you very much for attending my TED Talk that probably made absolutely no sense. Just me speaking about how I get annoyed if people swear. No, I don't get annoyed if people swear. I get annoyed if people tell me they get annoyed because I swear. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you like I usually do. Keep smiling, keep laughing, and keep being kind to one another. Much love, your friend who is a bit rough around the edges, but she absolutely loves it. Mandy.